Okay, so hey, train clients every day. We'll be getting into that notation later about what you can do with a red solo cup in a time in Dow. So I'm trying to make it like an industrials maintenance rotation. Just hang with me. Pendant. So you're gonna get the pendant for being the pendant in here on your time served as a class D. Pendant. What are we looking at here? Okay, so this is just generally some schematics to let you help you actually quantify it, whether it be on paper and you're graphing it out long form or you're using the algorithm to do it. That's your XY. Why? Because, well, we'll get into that notation here in just a second. But let's get into what you may have seen as an identity element about me somewhere's in here as far as loading the rock in the environment of Fermilab here before we get into some of the other notations. Again, we want to right there. We'll come back to this, and we got to take a look at what actually the ASVAB would serve to do here, like a time-dependent operator. You have a rock, and therefore you got an SI unit. But here we're not talking about space. Space and X and Y, they change over. These positions become uncertain, and so the ball becomes what I know about its spaces, X, Y, and Z, its mass, not necessarily where it's going or at what ratio it's going, given the snapshot of it at altitude. It had to have gotten there somehow. And so you got to use some other quirky natures in the figure 6 here that really says it's the two, right? General science is gym class by evaluations, and so is the weak force by evaluators, because once you pull those elements that key out over certain run speeds, if you got what our average is as far as what the run speeds are, then this can become a form of a weak force gravity. But I want to maintain still inside here just the notation of different combinations and metrics. Most of them are going to serve the same Sun Tzu learning class as anything else. I could choose spies first because that's what we have on the day of a Zeno paradox on the order of events inside of here that get us to de Broglie's wavelength, or de Broglie's wavelength or radius inside of there at what is 0. World population, our mining rates have no difference in terms, but it's always a negative down. Well, that's still 0. It's like fusing material, or why it's a ball in general. A lot of different sunshine accretion disk, factoring for why the CMB has a hot spot up in here. You could argue that star formation, and therefore redshifted on this massive number that's still not necessarily the moles, because for all intents and purposes, before you get down to the 6th decimal or the atom level, what are the moles are going to be a better appropriation. You might lose a little heat, you might lose something, you're at altitude under sea level in CLab 2020. I don't know. At that point in time, again, the rock for the SI unit would become the books. We're just grading hard. That's garbage. That's regular. That's some other configuration of fluffing it out there with the dozer. The dozer comes in, it fluffs it. That's a time-dependent operation. As long as that's what it does, those maintain the black body bright line of the overall force times populations, container units over an hour, whatever that may be. And you got to push that out through what is another form of a time-dependent operator here. Again, at what station they may be at in whatever form of the resume, soul patent, cop. This is something you would see similarly, not necessarily that's what's up, right? Let me get this out of here. Get this one out here too. We'll just bring this back over to more of the end result of what.
You want to be a software engineer, right? Go to L.
And there's your Excel a little bit, but you can also bring in Unity and Godot, or what is it, Linux operating system inside of there. Those are general sciences. They are within the set theory. the S&P core here, which would be S. It's strange from that value because when you notice it, that's the Standards and Poor's. There's just the left side of it and the right side of it. And Pauly says none of these things really exist because these require scientific data, right? That we're glued on to photons in the past that aren't necessarily there now, hawking stuff about time travel being practical and useful, and Blue Book talking about our soldiers were time dilated and different variances of PSTD as far as the set theory that will get you a response like shell shock, or the other ways too, because all math in here is going to be ultra relativistic about which three sciences, right? Because I know it's general, and then, there's all different obstacles. So there's the figure 4 as far as gym class. And then you got the weak force team. We'll take a look at those evaluators. Are they training that? Does that affect the run speed in some significant way by making them use fire gear, and dragging the hose 5 miles? Yeah, that's going to slow you down. Why? Because there's obviously a different mass in there. Well, that would be a charm of something that's strange. It comes up up about that is what's up on those run speeds. It is what is 1, and it has top register for what that does. Now, when we know things about IQ and run speeds, what do we really know in the stone mill of packing 7 pallets a day? That most people inside here kind of key off for the day. It's more of a appropriate curve through pallets on the day. 1 hour, 1 pallet, 1 hour, 1 pallet, 2 more hours and a pallet and a half, but you can't really say a half a pallet exists because it's got strange notations. But does that pattern keep persisting? Because that might be something in the hydrogen helium dance here that you really have to take in consideration, because it's more of a spectrum. There are notations where all those overlay, and it is, I'm not trying to undersell it here, about how simple it can be. Right, you're doing an action like that. You're saying, okay, if I had a stone mill video in here picking rock or something. Matter of fact, let's go do that real quick. I got a better one. Thing now. What happened to my? Videos. Alright, well, let's take a look at some of these things in here. When this is standard as far as model is concerned.
Okay, it's Master Mason, no, Jordan Skull coming in.
That is not the one I want.
Okay, so Master.
There's a really good one in here. I'm picking out rock, talking about the issue. Or just dragging it, standard model. That's it's out there picking rock about being the laser beam against a pile of rock to deal with the Compton scattering issue. True, there is the demon core, and I hope you see it. And there's also the notation of, well, that's my real result. It's me v the mountain, and I don't splatter against that every time. There's more power going on in Pangea. But those are appropriate answers. Here, though, against this rock, it's my day system. Putting them out, putting them in pallets, going out to the site, coming back. That would probably be the most extreme walk you're going to want to take as far as site to truck. But that's out. There are no roads out there for doing something like this, so it changes its design models. And, by the time you're done, there's a bunch of people, and we just tore down that mountain. I don't know where I'm prattling on about this, but that's what's up. Get on that stage.